All right, I think we are up and running. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Make sure that this is through loud and clear. Awesome. Get this show underway. How's it going? Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for Friday, November 29th, Black Friday. Hopefully you weren't too crazy lined up outside doing the whole Black Friday madness, door crasher, rigmarole stuff. I've done that before, and I'll never do it again. That is just crazy madness, not fit for anything. But anyway, welcome to the video chat. The way these things work is I'm going to be hanging out here for the next hour, answering any questions that you may have with regards to fitness, nutrition, building muscle, losing fat, getting yourself back in shape, building muscle, losing the gut, all that. So if you have any questions or topics of discussion, please feel free to post those in our video chat window right there. And I'll do the best I can to help you out over the course of our chat today. Now, before we go any further, I just want to do a quick little audio video check, make sure this is coming through. It seems to be coming through fine on my end, but I always like to double check. So if you can hear me, if you can see me, if this is coming through loud and clear, please let me know in the video chat. Loud and clear. Thank you, my friend Stogie. Stogie's a regular of these video chats, always tuning in. Appreciate it. Excellent. All right. Just going to give you a quick little update. If you recall last week, if you tuned in to the video chat, I had suffered an injury last week, literally last Friday. So it's 1 week today. I had actually torn some of the fibers in my tricep. Had a minor tricep tear on my left side. I don't know if you can see it very much there. It doesn't look that bad. It's a little bit of bruising there, and it goes down into my armpit area. But I had torn some of the fibers there while I was in the gym, and luckily it's only some minor muscle fiber tears, like the fibers had actually torn, and that's what's causing the bruising. But there's no tendon or ligament detachments. So I've been able to basically do a bit of rehab for that, and light mobility work, just some easy exercises to keep the movement and the blood flow and circulation there to aid with recovery. But, I can move my arm fully, and do different types of rotational exercises and stuff, which is good. But over 10 years ago now, I had a similar injury on the other side. That one actually had a tendon detachment there. So there's a gap in my right armpit where I had an injury similar to that 10 years ago. Luckily, this one was only some muscle fiber tear, so it should heal up quicker. But in the meantime, it's going to be a slow process getting that rehabbed. So what I've been doing, a lot of just light exercises with very, very light weights. Like literally, I started doing some tricep push downs, some straight arm pull downs, face pulls, things like that, with a 2.5 pound plate on the weight machine. Like down in my home gym, I have a plate loaded pulley station, but a 2.5 pound plate, just go through the motions. After a few days, I put 5 pounds on, go through the motions. Now I'm up to a whopping 7.5 pounds. So I'm just going up by 2.5 pounds each time, and just working on high repetitions frequently throughout the day. So at least twice a day, I'll go down in my basement home gym and just do, 4 or 5 sets of all these different exercises, kind of like in a high rep circuit, to keep that momentum and movement there. And so far, so good. So over the course of the next month, I'll gradually build my way up to doing workouts again with the upper body. But for now, like when I go to the gym, it's just cardio with legs and abs. And this morning, my wife and I went to the gym, and that's exactly what we did. We did cardio, and then we did some leg machines, leg extension, leg curls, inner and outer thigh calf raises, and then did some core work. So I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of upper body because obviously with the tricep tear, I can't do any pulling, can't really do any pressing, and I'm kind of limited with what I can do there other than the light mobility stuff. But it's frustrating, but at the same time, I'm using it as a it's only a minor bump in the road in the greater scheme of things, right? Instead of focusing on what you can't do, focus on what you can. And that's a good principle to apply to your training in general, because there's always going to be minor setbacks, always. right? You're going to encounter things. And when you do hit those little bumps in the road, focus on what you can do, not what you can't. And I mean, if you do that, always trying to, see the glass is half full, not half empty. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a full-on tendon detachment, that would require surgery or something like that. But luckily, it's just some fiber tears. Fiber tears will heal up on their own, right? I've had muscle fiber tears in the past, and yeah, bruises. Yes, it's painful, all that kind of stuff, but it does heal up with no deformation or anything like that over time. It's going to take a minimum of a month before I'm back to even half-assed normal workouts again. But in the meantime, I'll keep myself active, still focus on eating clean and trying to maintain a low body fat percentage. That's the main thing that I'm focusing on now. I just want to live a lean, healthy lifestyle. I'm not worried about, packing on size or trying to be the biggest and strongest guy in the gym or any of that. I'm beyond that stage now. I just want to have a nice, lean, healthy lifestyle that I can enjoy. So that's the plan for me, and I just want to give you an update on it. So I'm feeling good about that, because last week I wasn't sure how bad of an injury it was, but thankfully it's not too serious. All right, let's see what we got. We've got a bunch of people tuned in. We've got Peter, we've got Stogie, we've got Ground Flagon, Tracy, Derek, Chris T, Muscle Darts. Awesome, guys. Welcome. If you're brand new to the video chat, like you've never tuned into one of these before, let me know. Type the letter N in the chat window. Let me know if you're brand new. And if you're a regular, you've been tuning into these on an ongoing basis, type the letter R into the video chat window. Let me know. I'd like to know if you're new or if you're a regular. Of course, I do recognize several of the names. I know who's regulars. All right, cool stuff. And again, if you have any questions, topics of discussion, anything at all that you would like to discuss, feel free to post that in there, and I'll do the best that I can to answer those. Lots of R's. Do we have any newbies? Any new visitors? Oh, we have Peter's joining us for the first time. Welcome, Peter. Glad to have you tuning in. I see a few R's. All right. Any newbies? New people joining into the video chat? I'm sure there's more than just Peter tuning in new. And of course, I will be addressing you by your usernames, unless you actually type in your real names there. All right, I'm just going to jump right in now and answer some of these questions and see if I can see how many of them I can cover over the next hour. All right, Peter saying, I have mechanical heart valve. Would you know the best way to train? I don't have any experience with that. I've never, obviously I don't have a mechanical heart valve myself, so I really don't know what limitations that would cause. What I would recommend, Peter, obviously follow your doctor's advice on this. Like, ask them what you can and cannot do as far as physical fitness is concerned. But if you have the okay from your doctor to exercise and to train and go to the gym, then you should be able to start off with a basic beginner's program just the same as anybody would who's starting off brand new. And the key when you're starting off, focus on consistency over intensity. Like, you don't have to kill yourself in the gym. You don't have to push yourself to failure or anything like that, especially when you're just getting started. Just build that habit, that consistency habit. That is the most important thing. And even for those of you who have been working out for years, like most people that I talk to, they've been working out on and off for years. And the problem with this on and off approach is whatever muscle you gain while you are on, you're going to lose while you are off. So that is why consistency is the most important thing. I would much rather see you do a small, simple beginner's workout consistently, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, versus the most advanced, complicated training system that you do on and off. Because again, whatever progress you make while you're on, you're going to backtrack and lose it while you're off, right? You need to have that consistency in there, the habit. That's the most important thing. Same with your nutrition. Like, I would rather you have a simple, consistent eating plan versus some complicated macronutrient split and calorie ratios and nutrient timing and all that kind of stuff that you only follow every now and then, right? Because again, as soon as you go off, you're going to backtrack, go right back to your old habits, gain the fat, lose muscle. I mean, you're going to resort to your old ways if you don't have the consistency. So that is the most important thing. Other than that, if you're looking for somewhere to start, like if you already have the okay from your doctor to proceed, then right on my main YouTube channel, there is a beginner's total body workout. That would be a really good one to start with. And just give you a heads up, I'm actually in the process of redoing a beginner's workout series. I actually have the footage shot, right? The exercise footage. I'm just in the process now of going to get that edited and voiced over and made into a video series. But it's going to cover a more complete beginner's program. And it's going to cover a different variety of exercises based on your situation. So that's something that you can look forward to over the next week or so as I get those put together. A brand new beginner series to really help people who are, whether they're coming back to the gym after a layoff or whether you're starting off brand new, the same principles apply, right? Just laying that foundation, building your base, and then progressing from there. Let's see. Derek's joining us. Chris is joining us. Chris is asking, did I get an X-ray, MRI, or anything else? Do you know the extent of the injury? It's just a muscle tear in terms of muscle fibers, right? And the way it is here with our good old Canadian healthcare system, right? There's pros and cons, right? We have a phenomenal healthcare system, but it's not the most efficient. So when you go to the doctor and you have a muscle tear or something like that, they'll just put you through some basic things like, can you move your arm? Can you do this? Can you do that? And if you can, they'll say, okay, great. Now, if you want to get it checked out by a specialist, we'll put you on a 6-month waiting list. Like literally every time I've had injuries in the past and I went to the doctor or went to the hospital about it, that was the extent of it. So no, I didn't get an X-ray or an MRI, but I can just tell by my own personal diagnosis and by past muscle tears and having experience with this, that there's no tendon or ligament detachment. Like there's no deformation, there's no gaps, the muscles did not roll up or anything like that. It's just some minor muscle fiber tears in the muscle itself, hence the bruising and the bit of pain that I have there. But it should heal up on its own. How did I tear it? I actually tore it last week while I was doing a photo shoot. I was shooting getting some pictures and videos for my website and for YouTube and doing pull-ups. So I was in the process of doing pull-ups and I was holding the mid-range of the pull-up because I wanted to get some pictures. And as I was holding the mid-range and just, straining there in mid-range, all of a sudden I felt the fibers just let go. They tore in my tricep and it was very painful when it happened. But again, luckily it was not just muscle tears, no tendon or ligament detachment there. But that's what it was doing pull-ups. And that's interesting because we don't typically think of the pull-up as a tricep exercise, but it just goes to show, like, whenever you're doing an exercise, there's multiple muscle groups come into play. Like we think, okay, pull-ups are a back exercise, back, biceps, forearms. Those are the major muscles. But it's also the secondary and supporting muscles. So even though it's not a tricep exercise, it was my tricep that actually had torn because it's still under tension when you're doing pull-ups. Same like if you're doing bench presses, like, okay, that's chest, shoulders, triceps, but there's so many other muscles that come into play as secondary and supporting and stabilizing muscles. So it's not just, when you're doing an exercise, it's not just the muscles that you think you're training. Like you're really training many muscle groups anytime you do an exercise. So I actually tore a tricep doing a pulling exercise. All right, let's see what else. Okay, we got a question here. This one is from Ron. He says, I'm the one that messaged you before on the last live Q&A. Well, I've had a lot of people message me on the last one, but I remember your question, Ron. And he says, I already watched the video that you told me to watch, the 3 keys. Now my problem is I can't focus on workout because I think the question got cut off because he's away, or sorry, let me just start that again. I lost my place there. I can't focus on my workout because I'm always on business. Please help me be motivated. Honestly, my friend, I can't really help you be motivated. That's something you have to do, right? I can share what to do. I can tell you what to do, but as far as the motivation, you've got to find that yourself. You have to have a big enough reason why you want to work out. Why do you want to be healthy? Why do you want to build muscle? Why do you want to lose fat? This is stuff that you have to figure out for yourself. Like, a coach cannot motivate you. A coach can guide you in the right direction, but you have to have self-motivation. And I'm going to give you some tips that will help you to find that motivation. Find something that is bigger than yourself, because a lot of times we will not do as much for ourselves as we will for others. You have to have something bigger, a bigger motivating drive, usually something external. And I'll give you some good and bad examples. A not so good example of a motivating factor would be a short-term goal. Like, okay, I'm going away on a holiday, right? Beach vacation, and I want to look my best on vacation. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but the problem with it is once the holiday is come and gone and it's over with, now what? Like, your short-term motivation has just ended. Same thing like when I was competing in bodybuilding competitions. I would very often have motivation because I want to get in shape for the show. I want to do well. I want to place well in the contest. But as soon as the contest was over, it was like, now what? Like, what's the motivating factor then? So motivation and goals is kind of like short term. You need to have something bigger, something that's driving you, something that's really encouraging you to move forward. And at this stage of the game, my main motivating factor now is I want to be a positive role model to my son. Right? He's 3 years old now, and I want to lay the foundations and habits for him so that he can grow up seeing his dad as someone who's fit and healthy and active, and to teach him that that's what life should be like. You should be fit, healthy, and active. You shouldn't just be, fat, lazy, and out of shape. And I don't want him to grow up with a fat, out of shape dad. So that's my main motivating drive at this stage. And of course, I want to live a long, healthy life to be around for him, to be around as he grows up. I mean, I'm older as a father, like, 40 years old and have a 3-year-old son. I mean, I know a lot of people are younger when they have children. Some are older, but that's kind of in the older range to be having children in your 40s. But I want to be around and live a long, healthy life so that I can watch him grow up, and I hopefully have grandchildren of my own. I would like to live long enough to have that and see that and experience it, and not just experience it, but able to participate with them. I mean, how often do you see grandparents interacting with their grandchildren, and they're too old, fat, and feeble to even play with their grandchildren? I mean, we see it all the time. And I don't want to be in that situation. I want to be an active part, to be able to play and keep up, like take them to the playground and actually do stuff with them, not just be, let's go to Poppy's house and Poppy's so fat and out of shape he has to sit on the couch and can't do anything. I don't want to be that situation. I want to be around for a long time, and that's my main motivating drive now. That's more important to me than any bodybuilding contest or trophy or having abs for a beach vacation. Again, not saying there's anything wrong with those short-term goals, but you really need something bigger driving you. So in your case, Ron, you've got to dig deep. You got to see what is your reason why. And again, I can't find that for you. That's something you're going to have to ask yourself. And a simple way that you can do this is just keep asking yourself why. So like the surface reason, like, why are you working out? Why are you even here? Why are you even sitting here or taking the time out of your day now to watch this video chat? And it might be a surface reason. Oh, I want to lose fat. I want to build muscle, whatever. And then, okay, well, why do you want to build muscle? Why do you want to lose fat? And then each time you ask why, you're going to get down to those deeper motivating reasons, those deep rooted ones. And it might be something like because you want to live a long, healthy life to be able to provide for your family, or whatever it happens to be in your particular situation, right? We all have different motivating factors, and it's going to change as you mature with your workouts and as you mature in life. Like, my main motivating drive when I started as a teenager was I was getting the shit kicked out of me at school by the bullies, right? The bigger kids were picking on me and beating the crap out of me when I was in grade school, and I wanted to build myself up so that the bullies wouldn't pick on me. That was my main motivating drive, and it was a big one. So I actually started with martial arts. That's how I got started. And then my martial arts instructor also lifted weights, and he's the one who really helped to encourage me to pursue bodybuilding and powerlifting, and that's how I got started with that. But you have to find out what that motivating drive is. And it usually stems from pain. We'll usually do more to avoid pain than we will to gain pleasure. So like use both, use the carrot and the stick to motivate you. But very often, if you have a pain that you're trying to avoid, a pain that you're trying to get yourself out of, that is very often more motivating for most people than having some pleasure that you're working towards. So bottom line, you really need to take some time and think about this for yourself. And this is huge, because if you have a strong enough reason why, you will find a way to get the end result that you're going for. But if you don't have a strong reason why, then you're going to be one of these on and off again type of people, right? When you get a short-term burst of motivation, you'll follow a workout or nutrition program for a little bit, but then as soon as the challenges come into play, as soon as life throws you a few curveballs or whatever, then you're going to use that as an excuse to get off track. And that's why so many people are on and off with their workouts, on and off with their diet, and always struggling with this, is because they really haven't come up with a deep, motivating reason why that they're going to do this and pursue it and make it a lifestyle and not just some quick fix solution. So, I mean, that's a really deep topic. And this is something that I really focus on when I'm having coaching calls and working with my coaching students. Like the mechanics of how to eat right and exercise, that's the simple stuff, right? Like you can go on YouTube, you can get a workout program, you can go Google search and get a meal plan. Like there's thousands of workout videos, there's thousands of meal plans. Like you don't need more how-to. You need to be able to take what you already know you should be doing and find a way that you can actually implement it into your lifestyle. And that's where it's challenging. That's where the coaching comes into play. That's where you need, well, I'm not necessarily saying you, but that's where most people need help, is not the how-to, but how to take what they know they should be doing and actually have a system in place where they can implement it for themselves. And that's what I really focus on when I'm working with my coaching students, is to help them with that. Just grab a quick sip of water here. Derek's saying, any Black Friday sales on the Inner Circle? I actually posted that on the Inner Circle forum. So if you're a member of the Inner Circle, you've seen that. If not, send me an email, leeh@leehayward.com, and we'll chat and I'll discuss what we have available now as far as Black Friday sales. But I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of maxed out at this stage. Like we currently went through the Lose Your Gut Challenge, and I opened up a limited number of coaching spots for people who want to come on board and get some one-on-one coaching. And I'm already at capacity with one-on-one coaching at this stage. So I'm not really going to be taking on any more coaching students because I'm at max capacity. But if you would like to come on board with the Inner Circle, send me an email and we can discuss that. So leeh@leehayward.com, and I'll let you know what we have available for that. But I'm actually not doing some big old fancy Black Friday promotion because I'm already at capacity at this stage, and I really don't need to. I physically can't. I can't take on more because I don't want to take on too many people and then water down the coaching program where I have so many students that I can't offer a good, high quality service. I would rather focus on quality versus simply quantity. And I don't want to fall into that trap of overwhelming myself and then delivering a half-assed service to the people who do come on board. All right, let's see what else we have. Okay, ground flagon. If two people are bulking and hit the same amount of calories and protein, but one eats junk foods and the other eats clean, healthy foods, what would the difference in progress be? Interesting. Okay. There's a huge difference. Like calories is only one measure of nutrition, like calories in versus calories out. I mean, yes, that is important, but the nutrients, not just the macronutrients in terms of protein, carbs, and fat, but the micronutrients, the vitamins and the minerals and the enzymes and the phytochemicals and all that stuff, that plays a big role as well. Like the problem we're seeing nowadays, especially with so much processed food, is it's possible to eat such a high calorie intake where you become like you can get obese on a calorie level. Like you consume such a surplus of calories that you become obese, but still be malnourished on a nutrient level. Because a lot of the junk foods and the sugary foods and stuff like that, like they're void of calories, or they're very low in calories, or sorry, not calories, nutrients. I'm getting mixed up here. They're very low in nutrients. So you're just consuming empty calories. And that's a problem that a lot of people face, right? If you eat typical processed foods, it's just empty, fattening calories. It's not nourishing you on the cellular level, but it's providing an abundance of just empty calories that are just causing rolls of fat right around the midsection. And we see that a lot. So simply trying to have enough calories to bulk up, yeah, okay, you might bulk up, but you're not necessarily nourishing or fueling your body for optimal health and performance. So there's a huge difference, right? And from the health point of view, right? I mean, like if your diet is like, just say you're eating 3,000 calories, but one person's eating 3,000 calories of processed food and the other person's eating 3,000 calories of natural, healthy, unprocessed food, lean meats, fruits, vegetables, stuff like that. It's night and day. Like, you will feel totally different. Your body will function different. You'll have better clarity. You'll have more energy. I mean, you really have to try it for yourself. Try it for yourself and just feel the difference, right? I mean, if you've been eating like crap and then all of a sudden you just, even if you don't reduce calories, but you just improve the quality of those calories, you will feel so much different. You'll have so much more energy. Your recovery is going to be better. You're healthier. You're going to see like your blood profile is going to improve. I mean, it's so much can improve just from the quality. And quality over quantity. Let's see what else we've got. John, Jonas, Alvaro, James, all tuning in. Welcome, guys. Cody's tuning in. Cody's a regular, and he's also a coaching student of mine. He says, I just got the birthday card in the mail. Thanks a lot. You're welcome, Cody. Cody's birthday is coming up in December. That must be interesting. Your birthday is in December, and then, of course, you have Christmas in December. Like, do you get 2 gifts that month, or do you just get 1 big gift? Like, how does that work when your birthday is so close to Christmas? All right, let's see what I have. Ron's saying, any thoughts on taking Tribulus? Tribulus can help to a degree, but it's not some miracle product. Like, it can help with regards to there has been, positive results from Tribulus in terms of increasing natural testosterone production, increasing your libido and stuff like that. But it's minor at best, right? Like, if you have a true hormone deficiency, like low testosterone, it's probably not going to fix it. It can help to optimize it a little bit, but if you truly have a hormone deficiency, I would recommend speaking to a doctor or hormone replacement specialist or someone like that to really get the problem fixed. Like, several of my coaching students have dealt with this and are actually using hormone replacement therapy in some cases, especially guys, in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. Because as you get older, like, your natural hormone levels are not going to bounce back on their own, right? They're in a decline, and that's just the way it is. Like, for guys who are like over 40, you can take all the Tribulus you want, and it's going to have minimal benefits, if any, right? So, I mean, if you do have low testosterone levels or low, GH levels or whatever, it's probably better to seek the advice of a professional and get some help with a hormone replacement specialist to see what you need in your specific situation. Chris is joining in saying, what's the difference between using cables versus weights for building muscle more than strength? I'm a big fan of using all the tools that you have available, right? There's pros and cons to free weights and machines. And it's not that one is better or worse. You need to look at the situation. For a beginner, I very often recommend machines because they're easier to learn, they're easier to use. But even for advanced lifters, there's still a place for machines because there's certain exercises that you just can't do with free weights that you can do with machines. Like, prime example, like a pull down or a tricep press down, a leg curl, a leg extension, inner and outer thigh machines, like all these type of things. Like, you can't really duplicate that with free weights, at least not as effectively. So machines are superior, in terms of hitting multiple muscle angles, because a machine does not necessarily work on just gravity up and down. Like you can hit yourself and hit your muscles from different angles. Like a pull down, like you can't really duplicate that with a free weight, right? Because obviously weights, or you're just lifting against gravity. But if you have a machine that's set up on cables and pulleys and levers, then you can have resistance in all directions. So that's why I'm a big fan of using machines and free weights and body weight exercises. Like, a lot of people say, oh, should I use this or that? What's better or worse? Like, they all have their place. They all have their place. And if you look at the programs that I design or the programs that I post on YouTube and stuff like that, it's more often than not a combination of machines and free weights and body weight exercises. Like, use all the tools that you have available. All right, another question here from Mr. Retro Angel. He says, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you watch your diet? And how's the arm since the injury? Well, I already talked about the arm. And as far as Thanksgiving, I'm Canadian, so we had our Thanksgiving last month. Exact same holiday. We just celebrated in October instead of in November. But my Thanksgiving was good. Did I watch my diets? I did. I watched it go down the hatch. I did not limit myself when we had our Thanksgiving Day dinner. And that's the cool thing about it. Like, you can still enjoy yourself. You can still celebrate the holidays. You can still celebrate birthdays or Christmas or celebrations, whatever, and still move yourself in the right direction towards your fitness and fat loss goals. Like, one meal where you go overboard is not going to set you back. What's going to set you back is if you let that spiral out of control. So whenever I have a cheat meal or go off my diet or whatever you want to call it, I always make sure to get back on track for my next meal, or very least get back on track the next day. Where things spiral out of control is when people use the holidays as an excuse. They can say, oh, well, we had Thanksgiving, oh, we got a Christmas party coming up now, and oh, then there's Christmas, and then there's New Year's. Oh, I'll just wait till next year, right? I'll get started in the new year. Well, just think of all the damage you can do between now and the new year if you just eat like crap between now and then. You can do a lot of damage. And I mean, I think what the average weight gain is somewhere around like 10 pounds over the holidays. And it's no wonder if people eat like crap for a month or more in a row, like, yeah, you're going to pack on a lot of extra weight. But if you just use it as, like, focus on those individual days, like, okay, you enjoyed yourself on Thanksgiving, you stuffed yourself, you blew your diet, you went way overboard, ate way too much food. But if you get back on track the next day, and then you still stay on track, eating a clean, healthy diet, keeping your calories under control until the next celebration, let's just say it's a Christmas party at work. All right, it's okay. You go for the Christmas party, you blow your diet, you celebrate, boom. But then you get right back on track again. And then until, let's just say, Christmas Day. And then you blow your diet again then. But you get right back on track right afterwards until New Year's. Okay, you splurge on New Year's, going out New Year's Eve, big party, celebration, eat too much, drink too much, whatever. But then you get back on track the next day. Like, you can make it work. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make, is they think if they can't be perfect, then they're not going to even try at all. But you need to just focus on, look at the bigger picture. If you just focus on moving yourself in the right direction most of the time, you're going to make progress. As long as you're doing more good stuff than you are bad stuff, you can still make progress even if you're not perfect. And that's what you need to really master if you want to make this a lifestyle change and not just some quick fix fat loss solution, right? Where you lose a bunch of weight only to regain it all back again. You need to change your habits and change the way you look at things. So yes, I will splurge over the holidays. I'll splurge, on birthdays and celebrations and whatever. I will totally enjoy myself without guilt or restriction. But then I'm back on track the very next day, back in the gym, back eating a clean, healthy diet, keeping things under control. And as long as you do that, keep starting again, keep getting back on track, then you can make progress. Okay. And Ralph is joining us. Zentist. I think that's how you Zenist. Okay. Says, should there be any breaks from the gym, like once every 2 months or so? What do you think? Does it have any benefits? That really depends on you, your consistency, your training intensity, all that kind of stuff. From a practical point of view, most people do not need to take pre-planned breaks from the gym, because most people that I know personally are not consistent enough to deserve breaks away from the gym, because they're taking breaks away from the gym anyway, just because they're not consistent. Like, they're on and off, as I mentioned earlier. But if you are truly consistent, and I'm going to use like let's look at an athlete, or like a competitive bodybuilder, or a competitive powerlifter, or someone who is super motivated, super dedicated, pushing their body to the limit, and doing so day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, without any breaks, then yes, it makes sense to have what's known as a deload phase, where you purposely, once you start to push the limits of overtraining, you purposely scale back the intensity. Now, it doesn't mean that you stop training entirely. You just scale back the intensity and go through what's known as a deload phase, which is basically just an easy phase of training where you're not pushing your limits. You'll probably choose easier exercises, do lower volume, not push the intensity, not push yourself to the same degree, but you're still staying active. Right? It's kind of like active recovery, and I'm a big fan of that if it fits within your guidelines. But most people are honestly not consistent enough to even need that or justify that. So it's an individual thing, right? It really comes down to the individual. All right, we have Stogie joining us from Scotland, and he's asking about deadlifting 4 reps. Do you prefer touch and go, or do you reset on every rep? Personally, I do touch and go when I'm deadlifting. And at the gym that I train at, which is Platinum Health and Fitness in CBS in Newfoundland, they have rubber bumper plates. And that is awesome for doing exercises like deadlifts, because those rubber plates, they don't crash onto the floor or anything like that. And it's really good for that touch and go type of rep. Now, I know some people say, well, you're using momentum, it's not the same and everything else. And I totally agree. It is harder to stop, pause, reset every single repetition. But I usually, if I'm doing reps, I want to keep that cadence going. I want to keep that it's almost like a piston, up and down with my repetitions. So I'll usually do a touch and go style of repetition. And bottom line, as long as you're putting your muscle under stress and you're training in a progressive overload fashion, you can make gains, whether it's touch and go or you want to do the whole reset for every rep. The way I would look at it, if you are a competitive powerlifter where you're actually deadlifting for performance versus just trying to use it as a muscle building exercise, then yeah, reset every rep, because it's the first rep that counts in a competition, and that's what you're training for. But for bodybuilders or just general fitness enthusiasts, it really doesn't matter. You can do whatever you prefer. I mean, as long as you're exercising consistently, it really doesn't matter. Another sip of water. Mohammed is joining in. This is Lee. I heard that whey and isolate whey protein raises insulin faster than normal protein foods. Is that harmful and make insulin resistance, or is it safe? You're right in a certain extent. Protein does raise insulin levels, whether that's a supplement whey protein or it's a solid food protein. Protein does have an impact on your insulin. Not as great as carbohydrates, but it still has an impact. And when you look at a supplemental form of protein, like a fast digesting protein powder or fast digesting whey, that will actually raise insulin levels higher than a slow digesting food like steak or chicken or fish or whatever. So you're right, it will have an impact. Is it enough to cause insulin resistance? Not really. Like, it's unless you have some pre-existing condition, you're already insulin resistant or whatever. I mean, it could, but more often than not, like if let's just say someone has diabetes and they're getting help from their doctor and stuff with the nutrition plan, they're going to focus primarily on the carbohydrate foods, especially eliminating the processed carbohydrate foods, and they're going to focus more on whole foods. Now, with that being said, if in a diabetic situation, maybe you want to focus more on whole protein as well because of that. But for the average person, even though protein technically does, have an impact on your insulin, it's not nearly as much as what would be impacted through carbohydrates. And of course, not nearly as much as what's going to be impacted through simple carbohydrates, especially the processed ones. right? Like if you're looking at processed foods and the sugars and stuff like that, things that are stripped of their natural nutritional value and stripped of the fiber and things like that, that's what's going to just jack your insulin and blood sugar through the roof. Like candy and sugar and sweets and bread and you know these simple processed carbohydrates, like that's going to drive your insulin and blood sugar through the roof. But if you have natural foods like potatoes or sweet potatoes, um, fruit and vegetables, especially the whole fruits and whole vegetables with fiber and all that stuff, that's naturally going to slow down the amount of blood sugar spike and insulin release that you get. And then, of course, when you combine foods, so you have a well-balanced meal that has like an equal ratio of protein, carbohydrates, and fats from natural unprocessed foods, that's going to even reduce the whole blood sugar spike even more. Like a lot of times when we're looking at like the glycemic index of foods, it's just focusing on the individual food. But most people don't just eat food in isolation. Like a lot of times you're not just going to sit down and eat a plate of rice and nothing else, or you're not going to sit down and eat bread and nothing else. Very often you're going to have a combination of protein, carbohydrates, vegetables, fats, whatever, and the combination of all those foods together will contribute to the rate of that those foods get absorbed into your body, and of course have an impact on the glycemic index and the amount of blood sugar and insulin spike that comes about from it. But for the most part, unless you have pre-existing issues, dietary restrictions or whatever, it's not enough to make a big major difference. Okay, what do you think about testosterone boosting supplements? We already kind of covered that one with the Tribulus question. They can help a little bit, they can help to optimize, but it's not nearly as big of an impact as the supplement companies would like you to believe, right? Like if it's something like, it may have a small impact, but again, if you really truly have a hormone deficiency, go see your doctor, go see a hormone replacement specialist. Don't go putting a Band-Aid on a major wound, right? Like it's kind of like a Band-Aid solution, like a lot of these testosterone boosting supplements. Okay, how much alcohol do you think is safe to consume in a week? Not really hinder gains or weight loss. Ideally, 0. That would be the ideal amount, right? Would be none, but within reason. Like, of course, I know a lot of people do like to have a social drink here and there. And in the greater scheme of things, you need to look at the bigger picture of what's going on. Like, as long as you're doing more good things to move you forward towards your goals than you are negative things to hold you back, you can still make progress. Like, I've seen people still make progress even though they have a few drinks on the weekend or something like that. I've still seen people make progress even though they'll have a cheat meal here and there. I've still seen people make progress even though they're doing certain things wrong. And it's not that those things are helping. They're making progress in spite of those things. So, if you're drinking alcohol, it's not helping, right? Like there's no nutritional benefits to consuming alcohol, right? It's empty calories. It shuts down your body's ability to burn body fat. Like while you have alcohol in your system, your body is not burning body fat. That alcohol has to get metabolized before your body will go back to burning fat and calories like it normally does. So it literally intoxicates your body, right? And it causes stress on your body. So, it's definitely not helping. But can you do it in moderation and still make progress? Yes, you can. Again, it's the bigger picture you need to focus on. Now, with that being said, I think you'd be better off to drink infrequently. So like, let's just say Friday or Saturday night or something like that, you like to go up and have a few drinks with your friends, a few social drinks. In the greater scheme of things, that's not really setting you back too much, because it's one day of the week where you're going to have a few drinks, and then the rest of the week you can be on track and making progress. So it's kind of like a little hiccup in the greater scheme of things, but it's not enough to really derail your progress. When I was in my 20s, I used to drink socially. I wasn't a big drinker, but I still drank socially, and I still made progress. I made my best gains throughout my 20s, even though I was probably drinking once a week. Now, what I consider drinking, like, ironically, people used to make fun of me and say that I didn't drink, even though, like, what do you mean? I have a bottle of beer in my hand. How can you say I'm not drinking, right? Like, this is alcohol. I'm drinking, and they're not. but their definition of drinking is getting drunk. Like, I would not go to the point where I would get like shit-faced drunk. I wouldn't do that. How I used to go about it is whenever I go out to a party or to a nightclub or something like that, I would usually have one alcoholic drink, probably have then a non-alcoholic drink, maybe like a soda or something like that, and then have a bottle of water, and then have another alcoholic drink. So a typical night, like, okay, a bottle of beer, I might then have a soda, and then I would have like a glass of water, and then I would have another beer. So I always had a glass in my hand, just kind of, because then people think that you're social and drinking and whatever. Because if you don't have anything in your hand, then everybody's going to be like, hey, let me buy you a drink or something like that, or come on, let's go get a drink. So I always kept the glass in my hand, but only one out of every 3 drinks actually contained alcohol. So let's just say over the course of the night, I had 9 drinks. 3 of those were actually alcoholic drinks. So it minimizes the damage, and I'm also rehydrating myself in between, especially when I was drinking the water. So it minimizes the damage. And I mean, I was still social, still fitting in with the crowd or whatever. But now I'm at the stage where I don't even do that anymore. Like, if I go out anywhere, I'm drinking just non-alcoholic stuff. Like, I might have a non-alcoholic beer. I might just drink water. But that's pretty much it. Like, I'm beyond this whole peer pressure BS, like where people try and, oh, come on, how come you're not drinking, and trying to force me. Like, I couldn't care less what anybody else thinks anymore. So I haven't drank in years, but when I was younger, I used to just kind of fit in socially. And I used to use once a week max, right? And again, just a few drinks at a time, right? And that didn't have any impact on my progress. Well, not major impact anyway. I mean, I was still able to make progress despite the fact that I was drinking. I'm going to read this question anyway. This one is from Matt somebody. He's got a big old username, but I see the word Matt in his username. Have you ever had a poo near someone famous? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, if I'm in, well, first off, if I'm pooping at home, which is where I try to do the majority of my poops, I'm one of those people. I like to poop in the home bowl, right? That's where I feel most comfortable. But if I am out in a public place and I'm in the stall doing a number 2, I don't always know who's in the stall next to me, right? So did I have a poop next to somebody famous before? I don't know. I really don't. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. And what does that have to do with anything? Anyway, I hope you got a chuckle out of that because I answered your weird, wonderful question. And we have Ender number 7 says, my glasses look the same. Good choice. I compliment you on your selection of glasses, if that's the case. All right. Nina is joining us. She says, I'm 50s female. And I'm assuming when you say that, you mean you're in your 50s and you're female, not a female from the 50s. But anyway, she's saying, I'm 50s female. I enjoy your videos. I'm doing it for stronger bones. Okay, she's talking about her reason why. Good for you. I appreciate you for tuning in. And even though I speak to men in my videos and in my content, because like over 90% of my followers are male. So I mean, kind of, if 9 out of 10 people you're talking to are men, then of course I'm going to speak to men. But I do realize that, of course, that means 10% of my followers are going to be female. But honestly, a lot of the same principles are going to apply for men and women, especially when it comes to exercise, nutrition, and all that. Like, we both have very similar bodies. Like, the same basic principles are going to apply regardless. And a prime example, my wife and I, like, we go to the gym, we work out together. When we were younger, we competed together. Like, my wife is a former national level figure competitor, right? She competed on the national stage back in 2012. She's won numerous overall titles on the local and regional level, throughout the years. So, I mean, I'm quite familiar with how a female's body responds versus a male's body. And for the most part, it's the same basic principles, but ladies will have their own individual challenges. Like, for example, when it comes to fat loss, most men tend to store fat right around the middle, right? The spare tire, right around the belly button, lower ab area, right around the lower back, love handle area. Like, that's where the fat stores. Like I see men that they'll sometimes diet down. They could get lean in their chest, shoulders, arms. They could get lean in their legs and still have that stubborn fat right around the middle. Whereas women tend to store more in their lower body, especially around the hips, thighs. A lot of times they'll also store a lot of excess fat in the arms, especially in the tricep area. And that's just due to hormonal reasons, right? We have different hormonal makeups, and women tend to store more fat in the lower body, whereas men usually don't. Like a lot of men have lean legs or skinny legs, whereas women tend to store a lot of extra fat in those areas. But as far as like strength training, the nutrition fundamentals, it applies to both men and women, right? I mean, we both got 2 arms, 2 legs, the same major muscle groups, and those major muscle groups need to be trained with the same exercises. So there's really no such a thing as a lady's workout and a man's workout, because again, we have the same major muscle groups, and those major muscle groups need to be trained similarly. All right, let's see what else we got. We got more questions about pooing from Mr. Matt, and I'm going to let Matt just go poo all over himself there now, because I'm not going to answer those. I'm going to keep it serious, folks. Let's see what else we got. Just a second, guys. All right. What other questions? Lee, thanks for your tips. I'll follow them every time. I'm tired. Sorry, I'm tired over the day. I will think again and again the reason why workout since day one. Okay, all right. He's talking about the motivation aspect. All right, good stuff there, Ron. Appreciate. John is saying I ordered some L-Theanine, I think, to take with caffeine. Did I just waste my money? I think that's what you mean, L-Theanine. L-Theanine, I'm actually a big fan of that. And for those of you who are not familiar with it, it's an amino acid. It's found in green tea. And what L-Theanine does, it's a nice complement to if you're taking caffeine, like if you're drinking coffee or you're taking any type of caffeine, because caffeine kind of can give you the jitters. L-Theanine can help to neutralize that. So it gives you a more steady, stable energy. And it also gives you like calm focus. So like if you get caffeine, you can get hyped up and jittery, from the caffeine. L-Theanine can like take that edge off, but you still have the clear mental focus. So very often you'll sometimes see some of the more advanced pre-workout supplements, for example, might have a combination of caffeine and L-Theanine together to kind of neutralize some of that jittery, anxious feeling that you sometimes get if you're consuming too much caffeine. It's also another nice thing to have in the evening if you want to relax. And like sometimes a lot of sleep supplements will actually have L-Theanine in there as well, because again, it helps to give you that just nice, calm, clear focus. And I'm a big fan of that. Anytime you want to have that clear focus, it's a good supplement, and it's a very healthy supplement, and it's naturally found in green tea. So if you're drinking a lot of green tea, you're probably getting it through that. But if you're not, then you can actually supplement with it. I like to do both. I drink green tea, but I don't drink it excessively. But I will take, if I'm having caffeine, I very often will take L-Theanine along with it, just to help to neutralize those jitters and to give you that calm, clear focus. And where I used to find it really helpful is when I'd be racing. Like for those of you who follow along with me on social media, especially like on Facebook, like I'm an amateur race car driver. Like I do rally racing, Targa, Newfoundland, I do autocross racing. I've done some track racing and stuff like that. And I find like when you're racing, that's when you want that calm, clear focus. Like you want to be sharp and you want good reaction and everything else, but at the same time you don't want to be jittered and antsy. You want just this nice, calm, clear focus. And I find that I used to take that before I would go racing, and it would just help to give me that focus that I want. A lot of times if I'm doing public speaking, right, I'm on stage doing speaking and stuff like that, I would take it again to give me that calm, clear focus, because you don't want jittery when you're already in a situation where you're going to be nervous or have higher levels of adrenaline than normal anyway, because that'll just make you even more jittery. And too much jitters is not good, right? you want calm, clear, focused energy. And that's where L-theanine can really go well with caffeine, because it can neutralize the negative aspects of it and give you that nice, clear focus and that clear, consistent energy. All right, what else we got there? Okay, ground flag and saying, thanks, Lee. I appreciate your advice and expertise. You're welcome, my friend. Glad you enjoy it. We have Jay joining in. Okay, he's talking about, he just answered my question there about the L-theanine and the caffeine and the jitters. Good for you. Jay's on the ball. Jay knows what he's talking about. I have Ralph joining in. Okay, people ask what's L-theanine. Just do a search for it, guys. L-theanine. Okay, what else? All right, a lot of people are talking about it now. We've got a big thread of L-theanine conversation going on. All right. Alex is saying, would 20 rep squats for an older lifter, 47 years old, not a novice? Would you do 20 rep squats? You certainly could. There's nothing wrong with doing high rep squat program as long as you have the physical ability and mobility and all that to do it. Like if you got bad knees, bad back, all that stuff, then of course you want to be careful. But yeah, you can still do 20 rep squats in your 40s. There's nothing wrong with that. All I'm going to caution you on is lift within your means. Like as you get into your 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond, like your body's not going to bounce back from injury as quick as it could when it was in, your teens or 20s. Right here, my son out there having fun. All right. If you hear noise, it's just little Harvey running around being a 3-year-old. So yeah, Alex, when it comes to your workouts, you just want to be smart about it. Like make sure you're warming up properly. Like even for 20 rep squats, you still need to warm up properly, do several progressively heavier warm-up sets with lower reps. Like back when I was doing the 20 rep squat program, I would do my progressively heavier warm-ups with 5 rep sets. And the reason I kept the reps at 5 for the warm-ups is because I didn't want to burn out on the warm-up sets. I wanted to save my strength for that all-out 20 rep set at the end. But you still want to warm up the joints, tendons, and ligaments in the process. So I just do body weight squats for 5 reps or so, and then do a set with the empty barbell, and then just a progressively heavier warm-up sets until I got to the weight that I was going to do for my 20 rep set, and then I would use that weight. So you still want to train properly and be smart about it. Like if you're halfway through your 20 rep set and you just like realize it doesn't feel right, you're not in the groove or whatever, like don't be a hero and try to fight through the pain and force it out. Like if in doubt, just leave it out. Like I do that all the time. Like if I'm doing a set in the gym and I just like it doesn't feel right, I will rack the weight, and live to lift another day, because that is a valuable piece of advice. If it doesn't feel right, don't force it. Rack it. If you want, take a rest and do another set. But you're much better off scrapping an exercise if it doesn't feel right, or even scrapping the workout if it doesn't feel right, versus trying to force yourself through the pain, force yourself through the discomfort, and ending up pulling or tearing or injuring something. Like if I could have went back in time from last week when I was doing those pull-ups, and then right, it was kind of weird because we were doing a photo shoot, so it wasn't a normal workout, and I was purposely just holding those repetitions, in the midpoint, trying to get good pictures. But if I like thinking back to it now, like I kind of knew in my mind, like I was straining and struggling and it didn't feel right. And I was just kind of thinking, well, it's because I'm not doing normal repetition cadence. I'm doing it for a photo shoot. But honestly, if you have any doubt, leave it out, right? Because you could be saving yourself an injury. And when it comes to your workout progress, nothing's going to set you back more than getting injured, right? If you skip a workout, big deal, right? You can always, work out the next day, right? If you skip an exercise, big deal, right? Like skipping something or stopping short of failure or anything like that, that's not going to set you back. But an injury will definitely set you back. Like I've just set myself back at least a month in training because of that stupid tricep tear that I had last week. You live, you learn, right? Even though I intellectually know this stuff, sometimes I kind of have to remind myself. So these video chats and just talking about this, right? Even though I'm probably helping you, like I'm the one getting the most benefit of all this. This is why I do this every week, right? I'm selfish, right? I'm doing this because I get more benefit than you do, because I'm reminding myself of all this stuff that I should be doing and I should be focusing on more. So, right, I'm learning just as much as everyone else. I'm relearning. So yeah, that's if I could like share one tip of wisdom, that would be a big one right there, right? Listen to your body, and if you're in doubt, leave it out, right? Live to lift another day. Don't try to be the hero and have this whole no pain, no gain, because if you're in pain, that's not a good sign, right? You should not be in pain. All right, let us move on. We have Anthony joining us. He says, I heard deadlifts were bad for your back, but I also heard deadlifts were essential for building your back and various muscles. Could you further elaborate? Deadlifts are only going to be bad for your back if you're training too hard, too heavy, and pushing beyond your means. If you're using it as a progressive muscle building exercise, it is a phenomenal move to build up your back. So start off light, learn the form, master the proper technique, and just build it up gradually, slow and steady. And if you do that and lift within your means and follow all the advice that I just shared above, you'll be on the right track. It's not that it's a bad exercise. It's only bad if you try and lift too much too soon and push beyond your means. And that could be, that applies for every exercise, right? If you try to do too much and lift more than you're capable of, you're opening the door for injury. What would you do if you suspect you have a shoulder impingement? Honestly, you go see a physiotherapist, right? Get checked out and see if you do. I mean, that would be a good physiotherapist is very valuable. I mean, I've went to see physiotherapists, and when you're looking for a physiotherapist, ask for some recommendations for people who are used to working with athletes, people who are used to working with higher level folks, and because a lot of physiotherapists, they're used to dealing with sedentary, out of shape people, and that's who they focus on, right? Like you're just your average Joe who's overweight, out of shape, doesn't exercise, and that's who the typical physiotherapist works with. Now, again, not discrediting those people or anything like that, or those physiotherapists, but ideally, it'd be nice to work with somebody who does have experience working with higher level athletes, and that, because they will be able to probably work with your situation better. And if you do have any shoulder mobility issues, like, they can work with you personally, take you through all kinds of different exercises and ranges of motion and see, okay, what areas are tight, what areas need to be worked on, and give you some specific exercises for your situation. That's what I would do personally. I mean, you can go searching on YouTube and stuff like that and try to find some do-it-yourself exercises, and there's nothing wrong with that as well. But honestly, I think the quickest and best solution would be to see a good physiotherapist and just have that personal one-on-one attention where they can really focus on you and your specific situation and your specific shoulder issue that you're dealing with. With that being said, a really good YouTube channel, one that I recommend, do a search for Dr. Alan Mandel. He's got a huge following on YouTube, like over 1 million subscribers, and he has some really good videos for like do-it-yourself at home exercises that you can do for virtually every ache or pain you can think of. Like, he has hundreds of videos on his channel, and I've often referred to some of his channel videos when I'm dealing with aches and pains myself, or when I'm working with coaching students. But just do a search, Dr. Alan Mandel. He's got videos on shoulder impingements and a lot of others as well. But he's got some good quality stuff. And the thing I like about it is he really focuses his videos around things that you can do yourself at home with very basic or no exercise equipment at all. Just basic stuff that you'd find around the house. Okay, let's see what else. Carlos is joining in and says, Lee, I'm doing 3 workouts per week, push-pull legs. Is it okay for gaining muscle or for just maintenance? I'm 44 years old. A push-pull leg 3 times a week is a great program for building muscle. I mean, what's going to determine whether you build muscle or you just maintain is how you go about doing that. Like, if you're training with progressive overload and you're following it up with a good solid nutrition program that's providing your body with all the nutrients it needs for adequate recovery and growth, then you can make it a muscle building program. If you're training with lower intensity and you're not pushing yourself as hard and you're following like a more of a maintenance diet, then it's going to be more of a maintenance program. Like, ultimately, what determines whether you gain or lose is going to be your nutrition, right? If you're in a slight caloric surplus and you're training in a progressive overload fashion, then over time you're going to build muscle, get bigger and stronger. Now, don't take that to the extreme. Like a lot of people hear that and they say, well, I'm going to start bulking and, start eating excess calories just to try and pack on size. And yeah, you will pack on size if you follow a bulking diet. But unfortunately, unless you have a racing fast metabolism, those extra calories are not going to be built as muscle. It's going to be stored as body fat. So you only need a very slight calorie surplus to gain muscle, like less than what most people realize, especially in your 40s, right? In fact, most guys that I work with who are in their 40s, they actually want to lose body fat while building muscle. So very often I'll probably even have them on a calorie maintenance or maybe even a calorie deficit so that they can tap into burning that stored body fat. And then we'll focus on progressive overload with their training in order to build muscle. So again, it really depends on the individual situation there, but push-pull legs is a great plan for a muscle building program. Okay, moving on. Is instant noodles good for building muscle? I mean, it's a source of carbohydrates. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with, if you want to have instant noodles as your carbohydrate source, but it in and of itself, no, it's not like a muscle building food. Like protein is the raw material needed for building muscle, but the carbohydrates that you get through noodles can help to fuel your workouts, which will indirectly help to build muscle. So you need to think of the bigger picture. That's kind of like nitpicky details. That's just one very small variable. Now, there's nothing wrong with having instant noodles as part of your diet, but I wouldn't use that as your primary carbohydrate source. I would probably focus on something more substantial, something more natural. If you want to have a base carbohydrate, your go-to one, probably something like potatoes or sweet potatoes, fruits and vegetables, something with a bit more substance, more nutrient quality versus, processed noodles. Because noodles, it's still a processed food. Now, granted, it's not like a sugar. It's not like eating candy or something like that, but it's not as nutrient dense as more of the natural foods. Again, a sweet potato is a phenomenal food. I love sweet potatoes because first off, they're very nutrient dense. They're very filling. You eat sweet potatoes, you actually feel like you got some substance in you. It gives you that sustainable long-term energy because it has good complex carbohydrates, is a good source of fiber, and it just gives you that long-lasting energy, right? So I'm a big fan of that. But again, you need to look at the bigger picture, right? I will eat noodles occasionally. Sometimes we'll make up a recipe that's, maybe has noodles in with it, but it's not my go-to. It's not something that I'm going to eat day in, day out. It's something I'll have occasionally as part of a recipe or something like that. Right? If you're looking for staples that you're going to eat day in, day out, focus more on the natural, unprocessed foods. All right, the experiment is asking, Coach, do you think it is possible to build muscle with simple equipment at home, no fancy cable machines? Of course it is. In fact, if you want a sample home workout, I have a playlist series that covers a home gym dumbbell workout. Just go to my main YouTube channel, open up the playlists, search through there. There is a dumbbell workout program. It covers exercises for all your major muscle groups using nothing more than dumbbells and a bench, right? So, you can train all your major muscle groups at home with no fancy equipment whatsoever. Again, it's the consistency is more important than anything. What else we got? Jay is saying, Lee, college parties don't have non-alcoholic beer. They can if you bring it. Right? Literally nowadays, if I go to a party or a social event and it's kind of like a BYOB, bring your own booze, I will bring my own non-alcoholic beer and drink that. Right? And honestly, you pour up a non-alcoholic, most people, especially if they're drunk, they don't know the difference anyway. You got a can or a bottle of beer in your hand, they don't know if it's non-alcoholic or not, and if you pour it in a glass, nobody knows, right? So you can fit in with a party or a social situation and still appear to be drinking, appear to be having fun, appear to fit in without actually, giving in and just, drinking booze. A lot of people, they really give in to the peer pressure. Man up, if you don't want to drink and you don't want to suffer the side effects of it, then, you know, go with your own non-alcoholic options. That's what I did. I mean, that's what I do now. I mean, okay, we have Ox Monster saying, should I eat berries? I'm a huge fan of berries. I love all kinds of berries, like blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. And in fact, I buy the big bags of frozen berries and I mix them up in blender smoothies. I eat berries every day. I mean, they're high in antioxidants and nutrients, and, you know, very, very satisfying. Like, one of the things that I use berries for is I'll make my own high protein blender ice cream. And this is my ice cream fix. Like, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I love ice cream and I can sit down and eat a whole tub of ice cream and blah, blah, blah. Well, I eat ice cream all the time. Like, every single day I eat ice cream, but it's my own homemade high protein ice cream. So what I'll do is I'll use a base of liquid egg whites, protein powder, throw in frozen berries, whether that's blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, whatever, throw it all in the blender, blend it up nice and thick so that I eat it with a spoon. And like, I will have a full blender full of this. And it's like, if you have a cup of egg whites, a scoop of protein powder, you're getting 50 grams of good quality protein, virtually no fat, like whatever fat is in the protein powder, that's it, like maybe 1 or 2 grams. And then very low in carbs, right? It's just whatever you're getting through the berries. But this is my go-to for ice cream. So like, if I want dessert, you know, I want something sweet, I will eat this high protein blender ice cream. And I mean, I eat it every day, and it's delicious. I love it. I mean, even my 3-year-old son loves it. Like, when I go out there and he hears the blender firing up, he comes running into the kitchen because he knows Daddy's making ice cream and he gets to have some, and he loves it. So it's a healthy alternative to the high sugar, high fat ice cream that, you know, most people will resort to. So you can get the same eating satisfaction, except now you're loading yourself up with quality protein and nutrients versus, you know, sugar and fat. So yeah, I'm a big fan of berries. And by the way, if you want that recipe, I'll post a link to it in the video description of this video when it's all said and done. In fact, I can even post it in the chat window there now, because I have a ebook that I put together. It covers my top 5 go-to recipes. The high protein ice cream is in there. Got high protein cupcakes, high protein pudding, high protein pancakes, high protein oatmeal. These are the things that I eat on a regular basis, and they satisfy my sweet tooth craving. But again, you're not getting fat and sugar. You're getting quality protein and nutrient-dense foods. So I'm just going to share that with you. It's, what's the link? A second now. Let's see. All right, there it is. Okay, I'm going to share that in the chat window. And then for those of you who are going to be catching the replay afterwards, so free high protein recipe guide. Boom, I just shared it there in the chat window. If you want to go check that out and download it for yourself, you can do so. And if you're watching the replay afterwards, I will have it in the video description below once this video is uploaded. All right, I just typed that in. Now I lost my place. Where was I? The berry question. There, the berry question. Should I eat berries? Absolutely. Okay, we have Rack55 joining us. Farad is joining us. Please let me know 24 hours before you go live, because we have different times. It's 3:30 a.m. here. I go live on this every 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on Fridays. So every Friday, the same time. Now, of course, wherever you are, I mean, it's probably a Saturday for you, but this is a weekly thing, and I've been doing it for years. Every single Friday afternoon, I do these live video chats. So if you want to kind of like mark it in your calendar, you can do that. You can always catch the replay afterwards, right? Like but every Friday I do these live video chats, same time. If there's going to be a change to that, like usually the only time it's be a change if I have to cancel it, because if I'm traveling or I have some other appointment or something scheduled on a Friday afternoon and I can't make it, I'll post that on the YouTube channel in advance. But if it's a go, here every Friday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. Mossy is joining us. He says, Lee, what do you think of creatine for a 55-year-old? Is it safe? Yes, absolutely. Creatine is safe for virtually everybody. Like, everyone thinks, you know, like they hear of something that has some positive benefits, especially when it comes to fitness or building muscle, and they think, oh, it must be bad for you. Creatine has numerous health benefits. Like, I would recommend creatine to people who are not even working out because of the health benefits. It has so many health benefits. So not only physical muscle building and strength building benefits, but mental and cognitive benefits. It's been shown to help people with mental illness and issues like that. What I mean by that is like mental deterioration, like Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's disease and things like that. Creatine is good for helping to slow down the degeneration of your mind. Like it's a very powerful supplement. Like if you go get on the Google machine and just start typing in the health benefits of creatine. I mean, there's been numerous studies done on this. It's probably one of the most researched supplement out there. Now, of course, most of the research is done from a fitness and athletic point of view, but now they're showing that it has mental and cognitive benefits as well. So, like, even for, like, you know, your grandmother, like, creatine is a supplement that she should be taking just to help improve her mental and physical functions. Like, it's a very safe and well-researched supplement. It's been around for years. Very powerful. What did something fell down there. I gotta fix this so I don't lose my connection. All right. All right, still there. Good. Hopefully, stay up there. Right, that's the cords from my camera. I think I kicked the cord and I knocked it out. Give me your best salmon fish recipe. I like to bake salmon. What I usually do when I'm cooking salmon is I'll get a large fillet of salmon. I will line a baking sheet with tin foil. I'll put the salmon on the tin foil, and if it still has the skin on it, then what will happen is the skin will sometimes stick to the tin foil. It makes it very easy to clean up afterwards. And then I will load it up with a lot of different spices, like, you know, your salt, pepper, garlic, ginger, any type of, you know, herbs, like roasted red pepper is a nice one too. And I'll just spice up that salmon and then bake it in the oven. And that's the way I usually cook salmon. And I find it's just delicious, right? I like it. And I like to cook salmon to the point where it just starts to get a little bit crispy on the outside. So it's still moist and tender in the meaty part, in the thicker part of the fillet, but the edges sometimes have a nice little crispy texture. And of course, the salmon is a fatty fish, so the fatty parts of the outside of the fish sometimes has this nice crispy texture to it, and I find it's just delicious. But very simple. Just lay it on a baking sheet, bake it in the oven, and that's how I usually cook my salmon. Okay, let's see what else we have. Thanks for all your answers. You're a good coach. Well, I'm glad you appreciate it. Glad you feel that way. Okay. Currently, I'm bulking I'm 16. I'm a male, 118 pounds. I want to get to 125, 130 pounds. Should I dirty bulk or clean bulk, and how fast should I gain? Any tips or advice would be helpful. Don't go the dirty bulk route. I know, like, you're skinny and you want to gain weight quickly. Honestly, just for the health benefits alone, like, don't purposely eat crap just for the sake of fast gains. Like, yes, you will pack on weight faster, but it's not good quality weight, right? I would much rather a slower, better quality weight gain and staying lean while you gain weight versus just simply, you know, going out for fast food and sending down burgers and fries and pizza and ice cream for the idea of trying to pack on calories. Like, don't do that. It's honestly, it's not worth it. You're much better off gaining slower, staying leaner, and having good quality gains. Like, that's a big mistake that a lot of people make. I mean, yes, you can gain, like, if you want, you could eat like crap and get yourself up to 130 pounds in the matter of a few months. Absolutely. But you'll feel like crap, you'll look like crap, and a lot of that weight is going to be right around the middle. So, yeah, okay, you pack on weight and you fill out and you look bigger in your clothes, but then when it comes time to take your shirt off, people are like, man, look at the gut, right? Then you're skinny fat, right? Because you're still 130 pounds, but now you got a gut. And like, nobody wants to be skinny fat. Like, I'd rather be 125 pounds lean than 130 pounds fat and bloated, right? Or more. Like, I know this is all relative to your situation and weight, but leaner quality gains over just sheer packing on mass for the sake of packing on mass. And I'm speaking from experience, because when I was younger, I made that mistake. I went the dirty bulk route, and it's not pretty. Right? I mean, at my highest weight, I got up to 240 pounds at 5'6" tall, which is downright fat. And I mean, I had a gut and a 40+ inch waistline, and it just, yeah, okay, I look big in clothes, but I didn't feel good. And of course, you take your shirt off and you just got this big gut and back fat rolls and all that. So I mean, man, it's not a good look, and it doesn't feel good. Go for quality over quantity every time. Frederick's joining us. Lee, why did old lift eat a lot of beef liver? And did you eat a lot of beef liver, a lot of B vitamins? I think he means, why did old lifters eat a lot of beef liver, and did I? Liver is super nutrient dense. And in fact, of all organ meat, is the most nutrient dense of all meats. Like liver is phenomenal, like loaded with vitamins, minerals, iron, protein. It is more nutrient dense than the, you know, the flesh meat. You know, like if you're taking like beef, for example, like if you take like a beef steak or beef liver, the liver is way more nutrient dense than the steak. Now, it's a bit of an acquired taste, right? I know not everybody likes liver, but you know, I enjoy it, and I did eat a lot of liver when I was growing up. One of the pluses of liver is it's cheaper than steak, and again, loaded with nutrients. So I mean, if you're on a budget and you're trying to get the most bang for your buck, organ meat can be a great way to meet your protein needs and also load up on high quality nutrients at the same time. But a lot of the old timers used to eat a lot of liver. They used to have like the liver tablets back in the day, and it was just a way to get, you know, the B vitamins and the iron and a lot of the vitamins and minerals in their diet. But you can do the same thing with just eating regular liver and organ meat. I mean, phenomenal source of protein and nutrients. I still do it occasionally, but like I don't do it excessively, because again, it's a strong acquired taste. Like, you know, a meal of liver once a week is plenty for me. It's not something that I want to have as a go-to day in, day out. It's just a very strong taste, and anyone who's, you know, eaten liver knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's for my go-to meals, the ones that I'm going to be eating on a regular basis. I kind of like more of the blander foods, because it doesn't create that turn off, if you will. Like if you're eating liver every day, it can be a bit excessive. And quite honestly, from a nutrient point of view, it can sometimes be overload. Like you don't need that much iron and stuff in your diet, but have it like once or twice a week. That's a great way to help to bump up your overall, you know, nutrient profile that you're getting, and add some variety. And of course, it's inexpensive as well. When I was younger, I actually developed an iron deficiency when I was in my teens, and I did that because I wasn't eating much red meat at all. And I was following the typical bodybuilding diets that I read about in the magazines, you know, the egg whites, chicken breasts, rice, you know, very basic foods. And like egg whites, chicken breast, and rice. Okay, yes, it's protein, yes, it's carbohydrates, but like it's not very nutrient dense. So, I mean, I actually developed an iron deficiency from that. You know, I got my blood work, and my iron was actually dangerously low. And my doctor actually recommended that I eat more red meat, and specifically liver, to help correct my iron deficiency. And I did that, and it made a huge difference. I totally cured my iron deficiency just by eating more red meat and liver as well. And, you know, at that time, I was eating it like 3 times a week. And I kind of got sick of it because I was eating it so much. So now once a week max is all I eat liver at this stage. But definitely could be a powerful source of protein and nutrients for your diet. John is asking, daily cardio should be at what percentage of max heart rate? I'm a big fan of, well, first off, heart rate is very subjective because it depends on your fitness level. Like if you take someone who's overweight and out of shape, like they could be at their max heart rate climbing a flight of stairs. So you can't really like go by heart rate. And someone who's like an elite level athlete, they could be doing like pushing themselves with cardio and still have a fairly low heart rate just because they're in such good cardiovascular conditioning. So don't get hung up on heart rate. Honestly, go by your perceived exertion. And I'm a bigger fan of doing lower intensity, steady state cardio, especially for people who are doing weight training and cardio. Like if your only form of exercise is cardio, well, okay, it makes more sense. You know, you can push yourself with higher intensity cardio, or if you're doing the cardio for an athletic performance reason, like if you're a competitive runner or you're a competitive cyclist or whatever, competitive athlete of some sort, and you need the cardio for performance reasons, then yeah, the higher intensity cardio makes sense because you're doing it for a specific reason. If you're doing cardio for health benefits and to lose body fat, you're better off doing the longer duration cardio because it's a great supplement to your weight training. And the way that I do it personally is I will do high intensity weight training one day and then low intensity cardio the next. And I alternate them day for day. And this allows me to stay active, going to the gym or not necessarily always to the gym, but exercising every single day while working within my body's recovery. Because during that high intensity weight training, you're breaking down your muscles, you're creating stress. And then during the low intensity cardio day, it's active recovery from the weight training, but it's still providing my body with exercise, getting the health and the cardiovascular benefits, burning body fat, keeping my metabolism elevated. And it's a way for me to exercise every day without overtraining and running into the negative pitfalls. So weight training, cardio, weight training, cardio, weight training, cardio. I alternate day for day just like that. And that's what I do. I call it my yin and yang training style, right? High intensity alternated with low intensity. And I find it works really well. Holy smokes, we've been going for an hour and 25 minutes or even longer, an hour and 26 minutes. Whoa. All right, that means I'm going to get ready and clue this up. I will answer one more question. Let's see. I'll just scroll through. What do we got? One more question. Thanks for your answers. Much appreciated. What's your opinion on workout classes and martial arts classes? I did a lot of that. I did martial arts for years. My martial arts background experience, I started off with Shaolin Kung Fu. That was what I started with back in the 80s. I started with Shaolin Kung Fu. And even throughout my high school, like throughout junior high and high school, I did that. In recent years, I did some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I did some boxing. Now, I didn't do it competitively. I just kind of did it for the workouts. Now, of course, with Jiu-Jitsu, we did do a lot of sparring and rolling. And I did it for a year, but I got out of it because I was always getting nagging injuries. Anyone who's ever done Jiu-Jitsu or grappling or wrestling, like when you get into a submission and stuff like that, you know, I was always, you know, straining my shoulder or pulling something or whatever. And it wasn't my fault. It was because I was getting submitted by the person I was sparring with. So after just numerous aches and pains and injuries, I just said, man, it's not worth it. Like every other week I was pulling or straining something and I was getting frustrated with it. And that's why I said, it's not worth it. Right. I mean, I'm doing this for health and fitness and just for fun. And when you're always injured, it's not fun. So that's why I stopped doing the martial arts. But I mean, from a practical point of view, I mean, it's a great workout, especially for cardiovascular conditioning and flexibility and all that kind of stuff. And I like the structure because if you're part of a class and a group, it keeps you accountable. It keeps you consistent because you're going to show up, you know, when like, depending on however frequent, like if you're going, let's just say you have 2 martial art classes a week. Well, that's 2 guaranteed workouts a week that you're going to show up to. So, I mean, it's great from that point of view. And it's nice to have the camaraderie of the group and everything else and just being around that positive environment of other people who are fit and active and looking after themselves. So I've liked that aspect of it. But the getting beat up aspect and getting injured and always pulling and straining something, I wasn't a big fan of that. So that's why I kind of backed out of it. Who knows? As I get older, I might join a Tai Chi class or something like that, just for the, you know, for the benefit of it. What else do we got? How many do you think I should? Looking at your glasses, this came to mind. Would you recommend an eye surgery for a 24-year-old? I have exceptionally bad vision. And will it cost a lot? Still wondering. Go see an eye doctor. Like, I'm not an eye specialist. I really can't answer. In my case, like, I have a very weak prescription. Anybody who knows glasses, like, these are thin lenses. And like I can function without my glasses. I can still read, but as soon as I put them on, it just sharpens everything up just that little bit. Like it's a wee bit blurry, but I can still read all the questions and stuff. I could function without them. But when I put it on, it just like phew, sharpens everything up again. And I like having good vision, right? I like having seeing things clear and sharp. And how I knew I needed glasses was uh, at the grocery store. Like when I was reading the signs, like at the end of the aisles, you know, that tells you what everything is. Like I'd be looking and man, like the sign is it's getting blurrier. Like what's on the go? Like I rub my eyes. Like, geez, am I just tired? Like the sign is getting blurrier. It doesn't make sense. And so I decided I went and got an eye test. Now my wife, she wears contacts and glasses and has ever since she was a child. So when she went to get an eye exam and for a checkup, I decided, you know, doctor, I want to go get an eye exam. Like I haven't had one in years, and then the last one I had 20/20 vision. So I decided, you know, it's time for an eye exam. I haven't had one in at least 5 years or so. So let's go through it. And when I did, I found out I did not have 20/20 vision anymore. And she said, like, it's such a small difference. Like you could totally function and be fine without it. But she said, if you would like to have a prescription, she's like, I can give you that as well. And I said, you know what? I'm one of these people. I don't like having less than perfect vision, right? Like that just bugs me when I look at something and it's just a little bit fuzzy, it's clear, a little bit fuzzy. I mean, I said, sure, give me the prescription. So she went ahead and did it, and I'm glad I did. I enjoy wearing glasses, just have that sharp vision. You know, especially in my situation, like my hobby, as I mentioned earlier, I like to do race and stuff like that. So I mean, when I'm, you know, racing, I don't want to looking down the track or looking down the road and things are a little bit fuzzy. I want it crystal clear. I want to have sharp so I can see what's coming at me. And so that's why I decided to go for the glasses. But in your situation, I can't recommend what to do. I'm not an eye specialist. So I mean, if you're considering eye surgery, you got bad vision, like seriously, go talk to your eye doctor, see what they recommend. You know, go to one of these specialists that do like the LASIK eye surgery or whatever, see if you even qualify for it. I mean, not everybody does. But that's beyond my level of expertise. I can't answer that for you, my friend. And that is actually the last question we have. So actually, this was a success. We went for an hour and a half, and I answered every question that was posted for the most part. There was a few comments that I didn't touch on, but most of the major ones. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video chat today. I certainly enjoyed doing it. I mean, like I mentioned, I get just as much benefit from this as you do from listening, right? I mean, me just talking about it helps to reinforce all the stuff that I know I should be doing, but sometimes I get slack and lazy and I need that reinforcement myself. So hopefully you found this helpful. And what will happen now is over the weekend, I will get the replay of this posted up with all the timestamps for the various questions. So if you want to go back and check that out, you can certainly do so. For all of our past video chats, the replay with the timestamps should be listed there as well. So if you want to go scroll through and check out some of the old video Q&As that we did, by all means, go ahead and do so. Have yourself a great weekend, and I look forward to talking to you again next Friday. Take care. Over and out.